We don't want to be super zoomed in. Okay, so I got Rob back in. The leaf blowers went away. And he wanted to, so he kind of like came back in and he's just like sitting. He's just like looking around. Um, and he's showing himself on a sofa, like leaning back with his leg crossed over, like his ankle crossed over his knee, like he's doing an interview. And he's got like his nice little thing on, little tie on. He said, now, as I was saying, he said, so I was talking, he said, people are going to have questions about my son, which I addressed a little bit in the first video, and you can go back and watch part one. And he said, you know, my passing was really traumatic in terms of that for a lot of people. And he said, but it's difficult to understand death on your planet because you don't remember that life goes on past your conscious experience in a body. And he said the soul is endless. He's like, it's endless. And he's showing me, he went like this, and then this golden light appeared up around his head, like, ah. And he said, and so in my life, I actually accomplished a lot of what I wanted to accomplish. And he said, and here we are with people focusing on how I went rather than how I lived. And he said, you know, I'd rather people remember, you know, me for how I lived, not how I died. And I was like, that's a really good, interesting perspective to have because I feel like that happens a lot with people. And he said yes, and because for so many of you, there is, he said, Earth is a difficult place to be. There is a lot of violence and warfare, and there is a lot of, you know, mental health issues and stuff. And he said a lot of people, like my son, really struggle with mental health because they're in and out of their bodily form, and they're here to do things that are very difficult to do in the body. And he said, so for very sensitive people like my son, it's very difficult to be in a body. And so he's showing a lot of compassion. Not, he said, it's not an excuse for taking someone's life, but sometimes we need to understand and try to remember that we all came here with larger spiritual missions and vision and purpose. And he said, and for my son really came here as a really bright soul, a really bright star. And it was like for him to be in a body caused a lot of strain. There was a lot of mental health issues. He's showing substance use. And he said, just like with River, if you guys didn't see, I did a channeling of River Phoenix as well. He said, like with River and like with many young men on earth, what's happening is that it's very tempting to use substances to sort of turn off your psychic senses because when they're on, you're very sensitive to the world around you. You're overwhelmed, you're overstimulated, you can't get your head on straight, you can't think straight, you forget who you are and what you came here for. And you might have these glimpses and moments of like, aha, and knowing. He said, but so many of you are so like, he's saying like, so like tampered down. Like, he's showing many structures and systems in society not being supportive of people and their well-being. And he said, my son is an unfortunate product of a larger system at play. And he said, and also as parents, I see now from my spiritual perspective ways we might have gone about things differently and ways he's showing like maybe at times he said I won't get into the ins and outs of it, but he said I recognize now from a spiritual perspective like, oh yeah, he said you don't really look at it like I'm so angry at this person or I'm so enraged. That's not something we take with us into our higher consciousness form when we're free from the body. Those are more human constructs and emotions that exist in denser energy here on earth. And he said, so essentially what I feel is a lot of compassion and love for my boy. He's calling him my boy. And he said, because it is very difficult to be on earth. And I also understand that he was not in his right mind when he did what he did. And he said, I would hope that other people would have these same understandings, not to excuse someone's behavior, um, but to understand that you're just, he keeps saying it's so difficult for someone who's so much more than their body to be put into these little forms. He said, there are a lot of young men on earth who are struggling with this, and you know, people just in general, regardless of gender identity. Um, he said, so really today I wanted to talk to you about truth. And he said, true justice really isn't a concept spiritually because we all come back to the same home. We come back to the same evolutionary cycles. We understand what Earth is for from a spiritual perspective. And he said, I've had many lifetimes where I have not been a great person. I've had lifetimes where I've been, you know, very kind, very understanding, and so have all of you. He said, doesn't justify behavior, but it's more of like a judge not lest ye be judged type of thing. A reminder of we're all deeply human and deeply flawed. And one of the things we're working on as a collective consciousness is bringing more light and more profound wisdom to earth so that we no longer have to use violence and war and substance use and things like that, that we're not afraid of bringing more of this higher, brighter, vibrational, he's showing like vibrational force, vibrational energy coming to earth. And so he said, so my life as Rob Reiner was really about me bringing more of that in a lighter, brighter way, as in terms of upliftment. He said, I was here to uplift, to inspire, to help people laugh, to see some of the beauty that is here in this lifetime when they have their doubts and their fears and their pressures. And he's showing like people with money troubles and strain. And he said, and so my lifetime was really meant to be about upliftment, to help people shift energy, even so subtly, through seeing a film that could, give them a moment. He's saying a moment of relief or a moment of peace. He said, now, again, in a past life, like I mentioned before, I had lifetimes where I didn't get to do this. And he said, we all play different roles from lifetime to lifetime. There's way showers, there are change makers, there are seers, there are healers. There are people who come here bringing activation and codes. They're awakeners. He said, until you really understand larger roles, it's difficult to see people on Earth all as one. And that we've all played different roles from lifetime to lifetime. He said, in other lifetimes, I was more of a healer or an awakener. He goes, but those roles can be really heavy. In this lifetime, I was like, I want to get in there and have some fun. I want to have a good time. And he said, and there's so many people came in to be my teacher and also who were meant to be enjoying my work because it was meant to lighten something for them so that they could access higher psychic power. And he said, now, whether or not they did is not always up to, we don't get to control how other people receive our work or our energy. But he said that was part of what I came here to do, was be a vibrational uplifter. He said, from my spiritual perspective, I totally get it. Like, it's like, oh, ha, huzzah, he used to use the word huzzah. He said, but on earth, we forget. We just kind of have to keep following this conscious calling. And he said, but earth's a very tough place because sometimes people have a calling, but they feel like life gets in the way of it, or obligations or worry. He said, like, a lot of fear constructs, money troubles. He said, but when the calling's really there, when it's really strong, it's the right thing, you're not going to be able to like really hold it back that much. It's going to keep coming to you. He's showing people having dreams about it, having epiphanies. Like it just keeps kind of like coming through their life. Like they try to put it to the side and then someone mentions it to them. They go, oh, I'm not supposed to do that job. And someone's like, I've always thought you should be a doctor. And they're like, what? I was thinking about med school. It just seems like it's so hard and so expensive. And or like he keeps showing people coming across books at the right time and people mentioning things to them and them seeing things that inspire them, but trying to push it to the side. And he said, no, that could be the thing that is your thing that you came here for. Like your soul's like, oh, trying to get you to see it. And he does this. He's like, oh. He said, so on life, there is so much more that we came here for. There's so much more that we're here to enjoy. And he said, and that's part of the deal as well, is the more that you can allow yourself to be uplifted, to be enjoyed, the more likely you are to remember who you are and find your way in the path. So ultimately, that's the job of an uplifter like me. And he said, in this next lifetime, I think I might come back as a butterfly. He was like, or maybe a rainbow fragment. Like he's like kind of planning. He showed me a unicorn. He's really getting into the daydream mode. And he said, but I'd really like to do something actually with space-time travel in my next one. He's like, I think I'll plan that out, map that out a little bit here. And I was like asking my head, so you're going to have another Earth lifetime? And he said, oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to come back. He goes, if the shoe fits, wear it. He said, so yeah, my life as Rob Reiner, I wasn't really here to do like, too much in terms of a lot of things. Like he's showing like a lot of catalyzing. He wasn't here to be a huge catalyzer in essence and all. he was here to be kind of an uplifter. He said an uplifter in a way is an awakener. It's one form of it. I was here to help a lot of people see their true potential as well. He said, I might have fallen off that horse a couple times, but I really did my best. He goes, you know, the ego gets in there. I'm like, yeah, get it. He said also something I was good at when I was really, really paying attention was helping other people see who they were inside. He said I was really good at it at times, but people have to also be receptive to that. I liked people to see themselves as powerful. Like he wanted them to see their potential. He said I had a knack for seeing where people could be, like where they could go. He's showing like seeing people in the right roles, knowing who might work together really well. Like, oh, like I just know this person's going to be great for this role. He said I was really good at helping people who had that imposter syndrome going on. Like he's like he could see right through it. He had a knack for spotting talent, it sounds like, or spotting. He said someone's like true purpose, like a calling for them. I could see who they were meant to be inside. Like there was something just inside of me that was like, aha, that one, this person. He said it's almost like an ability to see and sense where puzzle pieces just fit together in the perfect place without having to try over and over. He said, so I just want them to understand I'm saying this because sometimes on earth you struggle to feel that for yourselves, but you always have that spiritual part of yourself, that part of you that's connected to the all. He's like the all that is, the big eye in the sky. And he said, so there is a part of you that actually really knows and remembers where your puzzle piece fits and how it fits together with the world around it. And when you're struggling to make things fit, that's a good sign that maybe that's not where you need to be, that it's time to really pay attention to, even if it's a little bit difficult, to say like, okay, where am I meant to be going? What am I meant to be doing? What is actually calling me? And he said, that's when you're going to find that boom, 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 everything just lines up for you. And he said, this is something the other side has been trying to get through to you guys for a long time because a lot of you guys are really pushing against. He goes, there's a lot of resistance on earth, or rather, there's a lot of like, I gotta be this, like hard headedness. And it's based on like social constructs. And he keeps saying, you know, people not being able to see themselves for who they really are or see other people for who they are and wanting them to be something different than they're not. And he said, no, that's not how it is at all. Like, you know, you come here to be you, and there's no one else who's meant to be like you. And that's that. He said, he goes, I won't keep you too long. He's like, but he did that like, well, but he said, but I did want the people to know that I really value their input. And he said, we really value them. He said, from my soul's perspective, my spiritual perspective, and he put angel's wings on. He said, we really appreciate how much they loved my creativity and my work on earth. And he said, and we're really trying to give everyone a big boost and really wishing them well. We're all here and we're all trying to help you all support each other. So he goes, adios, adios, muchachos. He's saying goodbye in a bunch of different languages. But he is saying overall, blew a kiss. But he keeps displaying over and over that he really appreciates everyone, just having enjoyed his work, that he can feel all of that and he receives all of that from where he is. So I wanted to share that as our little part 2. Sorry about the leaf blowers in part 1. I didn't know those were going to start. Luckily they didn't go on too long, so I didn't have to break up the channeling too far apart. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you do have questions, you can pop them in the comments. And I will come back and see if he wants to come back in. Like I said in part 1, Diane Keaton came and sat down too, and I was like, hello. I didn't know she was going to come in until like right as I got started. Like I said, if you missed part 1, I do these as spirit-led channelings. And so I don't reach out usually to these well-known people on the other side. I let them come to me. And they kind of tap me on the shoulder and I'll be like, hello, because that's who I think it is. And I let them kind of come through and they decide what they want to share usually. You're welcome to ask questions, but I give them full, you know, it's totally up to them who comes through, when they come through, how they come through, what questions they answer. So, and if they want to talk about certain subjects or not. Sometimes like they don't want to cover how they passed at all. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to go back into it. And sometimes they want to clear things up a little bit as well. Generally, they don't talk about it too much. And often I find that they're usually pretty protective of their loved ones. So there's usually a lot that they won't share about private life type of stuff. It's more like afterlife perspectives and understandings that they have, which I think is great too. But this is mostly because they just cherish their loved ones here. They're not trying to embarrass people or upset people that, family and friends that could still be here that might be hurt by them putting certain information out there really publicly. It's not like in a private reading where, it's just between you and me and them, and then they can talk about all sorts of things that they wouldn't otherwise talk about because it would, yeah, like there's certain things they're just like very conscious of having out there publicly. So I just wanted to mention that too. And but yeah, if you do have questions, I can try to reach out to him and see if he'll come back in and answer them. Okay. So yeah, leave those in the comments. Again, I'm Allie. I've been doing this for just over 10 years. Um, and yeah, this is just my calling. It's what I'm here to do, at least for now. And so if you have any questions about my work, you can always reach out to me here. You can go to intuitivesoulcollective.com. I also have a Patreon group and TikTok, and I'm under Spirit Speaker 25 pretty much across the board with no periods, no dashes, no extra eyes, or be careful of imposters out there. But I do share my work on a couple different channels. So if you want to reach out or if you have questions, you want a reading, want to take a class or something like that, feel free to come and look me up. Okay, bye everybody.